All right. Hello, everyone. Kyle A0Z, and I have Sebastian KI2D with me. He is the developer, the owner of Ham2K, PoLo. Hello, Sebastian. How are you?
Hi, Kyle. Thanks for having me.
Um, so I discovered PoLo, I don't know, about a month ago or whatnot, and I did a YouTube video on it, and I think it is probably the slickest uh, mobile app logger that I have ever seen. And first, I wanted to publicly thank you for all of the hard work and effort that you have put into it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Um,
Love that people find it useful and that it works for everybody.
yeah, so we're gonna get into it. Never mind the background noise. I'm having a roof put on my house, and they started at 6 a.m. this morning. It's 8 o'clock Central, and they're still not done. So I don't know when they're gonna get done, but there's crap going on in the background. So sorry about the background noise if you can hear it. I don't know if the mic is picking it up, but Sebastian, tell me, like, first let's do some background history here. What got you into ham radio? Like, what drove you to a ham license?
I'm a pandemic ham. I got
Yep.
my license in April of 2020.
Yeah.
I had it, ham had been in the background in my life for a long while. My grandfather was a ham. I remember being a little kid and playing around the radios with him, but I never followed up on that, and I never got a license earlier. I'm originally from Venezuela,
Yep.
the Yankee Victor land,
Yep.
and I moved to the U.S. in like 24 years ago, and never paid much attention to ham radio until the pandemic. Like the first week, I felt very isolated, and I decided to get a radio scanner, and I picked some local repeaters, and that kind of like triggered a memory, and like, oh yes,
That's the gateway right there.
Yep. And I started looking online what it would take to get a license, and like a couple of weeks later, I was taking one of the first virtual testing sessions that they started doing back then, and got my general. A friend gave me very good advice to like, yeah, try to get your study. I mean, do the technician, but try to get the general right away because it's not that much harder.
Oh yeah.
And that was a very good advice.
Yeah, that is good advice.
And yeah, and a year later, I had upgraded to extra. I was doing contests. I was doing satellite. I was doing FT8. I mean, I got deep into the rabbit hole. You know how the hobby is. There's plenty of holes to go down.
Right. Right. What do you remember? What your first contest was?
My first contest was it was I think it was WPX.
Oh wow.
I had a little Ziegu radio, 20 watts, and one weekend I turned it on and I see the pan adapter going crazy.
Right.
And like, what's going on? And like, I started making contacts, and I thought that, oh, this was actually fun and exciting, and started getting serious about contesting too. I haven't been able to do much this year. Work has been keeping me busy, but I really enjoy contesting.
Yeah.
And I love one thing I love about doing POTA and portable activations is that it's a good chance to work a pile up.
Yeah.
Like in a contest, it's rare. You have to get a much better station than one I have to get a pile up going.
Yeah.
Whereas in POTA, you can take any weekend and work 200 stations in an hour if you're at the right place at the right time.
Yeah. POTA makes anybody with a small antenna a huge deal, a big dog, right?
Yeah.
This is what I love about POTA and SOTA is people, they come up to me and say, why do you, I got to drag all my crap out. Why do I want to do this? And I'm like, have you ever been in a pileup in a big station, a big contest station? And sometimes their answer is no, because they don't have a big station, right? And it's hard to generate a pileup when you're running 100 watts and a dipole in a big contest, right? Because you get forced out of the band by, these bullies with 1,500 watts and 5/5/5, But POTA is such a great, I mean, it has revitalized ham radio, just like FT8 has, on getting people out and letting people experience what the thrill of running a pileup is.
Yeah, and I find people say that FT8 is killing ham radio because it's lazy and don't have to do anything. I think that FT8 is great for ham radio because it lets people with small stations do a lot.
Exactly.
But also, they haven't looked at POTA. POTA is like, it's insane the amount of activity it generates.
Yeah.
Like, people are starting to complain that 20 meters gets too crowded because of all the POTA guys.
I wonder, does anybody here, anybody in the chat? I want to say hello, everybody in the chat. I see a lot of new faces, but I see a lot of familiar faces. Does anybody know how many logs are in the POTA database? I would love to find out on how many logs. Do you know, Sebastian?
I don't, but I saw this yesterday. There's a guy, usually in Nevada, who does POTA mostly on FT8. I forget his call sign.
We were just talking about how we can forget call signs like it's nobody's business.
He has about 300,000 QSOs, just himself. But he's usually, you see them every day. He's doing POTA. It's insane. Actually, I know the call sign. I can find the call sign because I have one of the POTA awards.
Is it K7CAR?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Frank nailed it.
Yep.
You know what baffles me here? We're gonna get into database design here, and then we'll get into other stuff. What baffles me is it takes forever for you to reconcile a log on Logbook of the World, but you can do it in a matter of seconds in the POTA database.
I have to tell you, I think that the POTA site is one of the nicest pieces of amateur radio work in recent years.
Yeah, that's nice.
I'd like to believe that Logbook of the World did the best they could about 20 years ago when it was first built. I don't know how much updates it has been receiving.
I think a little bit.
But
a little bit.
Yeah. And I think that there's a theme in amateur radio software that people get it to work, and then it's not abandoned, but it's left as is.
Yeah.
And a lot of that work happened in the mid-90s, and there's a certain aesthetic to most radio websites and apps it feels, I'd say, a bit outdated.
It's from the days of Front Page and Dreamweaver.
I think that it's even before then.
Oh, you think it's before it?
There's I don't know. There's a certain style to the HTML.
Yeah, that's true.
That it's when designers were starting to use Dreamweaver, and developers were still building sites with plain tables.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Well, Sebastian, I could go down to this damn rabbit hole on ham radio websites like you wouldn't believe. But we're here to talk about PoLo, POTA portable logger, Ham2K.
Yeah.
Tell me, don't tell me what you do for a living, but tell me like a little bit. You're a coder, like you like to write code, right?
Yeah, I've ever since I'm your typical computer nerd. When I was 7 or 8, I got my first computer, Sinclair ZX81.
Oh my god,
Timex 1000 in the US.
Yes.
Wow. That was my start, and it's been all downhill from there.
Right.
I've been doing professional development since I was like a teenager. I went to computer science for college. Had worked like as I've always worked in small companies and startups and that kind of thing. Like most of the time I've been companies with like 20, 30 people in them, starting projects from the ground up. I'm not too interested in management or being part of a much larger company where all you do is focus on one little corner of the app. And I'm a generalist, which means I'm mediocre at a lot of things.
Yeah.
and that can be very valuable in some contexts and not so much in others. So I try to find myself in those corners where I can thrive, to put it
Yeah.
one way.
A few questions from the chat. Interstellar Starman says Python. What's
Python is, I have not done almost any Python. Ruby is my favorite language. JavaScript, most of PoLo is written in JavaScript using React Native. I've done Java, I've done many other things, PHP back in the day. But a lot of my code has been either Ruby or JavaScript.
Gotcha. He also says, do you use LLMs to write your code? I don't even know what an LLM is.
The large language models, so like ChatGPT and those kind of things.
Oh, gotcha.
I use Copilot. So there's probably some lines of code. It's crazy when you start writing code to do something like, for example, if band equals 80 meters, then do this. And Copilot will fill it up and will say if band is 60, 30, 40, 20, 17. Like it realizes that you're right. You're talking about 80 meters in ham radio context, and the most likely options are the other typical bands.
Oh, wow.
It guesses it really well.
Wow.
Until it doesn't. You have to always have to double check. Like it missed 60 meters. Oh, I need to add 60 meters.
Oh, 60. It always misses 60 meters.
Yeah.
The stepchild of the ham band.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
I used to chat GPT to write some of the contest dashboard, and it gave me some pretty good code, but I would use it as a guide. And
it's a great guide. I find it's a great autocomplete.
Yeah.
And it's a great guide to get started.
Yeah.
But I always need to read. The thing is, I'm faster reading code that it generated than writing it myself. So when it suggests things that seem to make sense, I accept it, and then I read it and make sure it works.
Yeah.
But it's insane how close to being perfect it is, and all it does is basically trying to bullshit you. That's literally what it does. It's like it doesn't know if what it's generating is good or bad.
Right.
Just that it looks good.
Yeah. Right. That
it
it's
passes.
Pretty. Yes.
It's pretty. It seems reasonable,
right,
based on averages and some math. But it's crazy how far it can get just by bullshitting like that.
You know, I dated a girl and her mother was an old hippie, and I got some of the best advice from that old woman, and she always said, you can't bullshit a bullshitter. And I always think that ChatGPT and all those, it's just like, you can't bullshit a bullshitter.
Well, they call them prompt engineers now, but yes.
That's great. Oh, it's funny. Well, I got another question for you about developing, and then we'll get into the app. How much code can a good coder write in a day?
That's a good question. And yet,
does it matter on the language?
It matters in a lot of things. With PoLo, for example, I've been very productive lately. It reached a point where I can think of a feature and build it in an hour or two sometimes. I mostly work on PoLo early in the morning after waking up and before, like, commuting down to the basement for my to sit in my office, or late in the evening. So I work on it a couple of hours a day, but I reach a point where I have all the little pieces I need to build the features. So adding something new happens very quickly. At the beginning, it was not like that. It was writing lots of code and not being productive.
Yeah.
And most of the time, a good developer spends 3 hours trying to find the one line of code they need to add. Wow. So it's not necessarily how much code. I'd rather think of it in terms of features you build.
Quality over quantity.
And what matters is not how many functions or things, but how many things in the app are things that matter. How many are actually features and not bugs? How many are things that people will use?
Yeah, there's I totally get that. There's some crap in the dashboard, the Node-RED dashboard, that people are just like, why did you put that in there? I'm just like, because it was 3 o'clock in the morning and I thought it was cool. And they're just like, you should take it out. And I'm like, you should go to hell. but then I'm just like, yeah, nobody uses that. I don't know why it's in there, but I just kept it in there.
I think that the best developers learn how to delete code. It's like deleting a lot of code is actually it's very satisfying when you figure out how to make things simpler.
Yeah. Gotcha.
But often you need to go and do it in the first place to realize that it's not needed.
Yeah.
Like you need to have it there and use it and play with it. The trick is being brave enough to delete it, not getting too attached.
Yes. You're totally right. Yeah, you're totally right. Yeah.
And I'm saying this knowing full well that I'm getting attached to a bunch of features that don't necessarily need to live in PoLo anyways. But it's my app, like you say, it's my problem.
Yeah,
if you don't like it, go use something else.
Right. I'm just like, hey, if you don't like the contest dashboard, it's not for you. Just go somewhere else. Yeah. It's like this YouTube channel. If it's not for you, go somewhere else. This is my channel, not your channel.
Yeah.
All right.
But I think that I'm building PoLo for myself.
Yes.
The fact that other people find it useful, is great, and I love that. And I do things for other people too, but primarily it's for me. And I think that when people do that, it shows. I think that your channel works because it's your channel and you're building it for you and to discuss the things you want. Not because you're trying to manage the algorithm to better monetize this or that.
Right. Yeah.
And I think that it's important to care about what you're doing. And if you care enough to dog food it and to like do it, use it and have an opinion on how it should be, it ends up being much better.
Yeah. That's a good point. That's a very good point. Yep. All right. So let's get into it. Shane, this side of the radio, this is the question everyone wants to know. Why did you create your logger? What sparked that 3 a.m. Thought and started this journey?
I mean, the main thing is that I didn't like any of the loggers out there. Like I found that there were, I'm not, terrible is not the right word, but there were apps that were definitely not what I needed.
Yep.
There were apps that were getting close, and actually the closer it got, the more frustrating it was. I mean, one example might be, Hammers. Hammers is a great app. It really raised the bar.
Yep.
But there were things there that didn't work for me, and it was annoying. I was like, no, I want it to be this other way. Why didn't? And it was like, I should shut up and just build my own logger.
Right. Yeah.
And I hadn't done any mobile app development in a few years, so I wanted to also get some, stretch my muscles and get up to date, and decided to build this. I also have a lot of ideas of things I can build after the portable logger, but I thought that starting with mobile and with the small screen, while it's more challenging, it gives you a better starting point. Because if you get it to work well on a phone, it's easy to move it up to a desktop app.
Yeah.
Whereas the other way around is not that easy to do.
Yeah. We were talking backstage before, and Sebastian's got, this is just a framework of some really cool things that he was throwing around. Hopefully they'll come to fruition, but this stuff is going to be awesome. It's going to be freaking awesome.
Yeah, I really want to get it. I mean, the one of my challenges, I want to do things like logging 2 QSO parties. One of those weekends that there's 5 QSO parties at the same time.
Yep. Well, one of them's coming up.
Yep. Being able to log it using, I don't know if PoLo will be the app for that. Maybe I need to do contest logger or PoLo. But being able to do a contest weekend that has more than one contest.
Yep.
With a single log.
Yeah.
That it knows what are the rules for the two contests you're participating.
Well, and N1MM does this, but only if the contest managers coordinate their contests, right?
So there's some contests where the managers decided you just do it one log and send it to us and we'll figure it out.
Yeah,
and that's one thing that I very early with PoLo I started doing is you can do parks on the air and you can do summits on the air at the same time in PoLo.
Yeah, that's
There's
what
nothing
I like.
that stops you from doing that. And at the end, it produces the two separate logs with what each of the programs requires.
Yes.
You can do POTA. I mean, what I do want to do it. Last year, I did a New York QSO party, mobile portable from the top of a mountain, and I did almost 1,000 QSOs in 10.5 hours.
Wow.
In part because I was doing New York QSO party, but also POTA.
Yes.
And it was nonstop. All like the 10.5 hours. I didn't do 12 because I had some technical issues setting up. It's not hard to set up your radio station at the top of a mountain. But so I want to be able to do Winter Field Day and POTA all together, or New York QSO party and POTA all together.
This is one of the fundamental problems of N1MM or any contest logger where, I mean, you hit on it and I just didn't register it and now it registered. So whenever I go into N1MM, I have to pick the contest that I'm going to operate in, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if there's 3 other contests that are happening that weekend, I can't log. I can't log because that contest does not fit into the format of the contest that I picked.
Ones. Yeah.
Right. So I want to set out. Oh my gosh, Sebastian, I want to set down. This is what I want to do. I want to sit down in front of my computer and I just want to contest for 8 hours or 4 hours or 2 hours. And I don't care what contest I'm working. I just want to pick QSOs off and the logger figure out what contest I'm logging. And then I just say, generate the Cabrilla file and it generates it and I set it. Oh yeah.
That'll be that's the dream. But even little things I hate. N1MM, I hate every time I want to set up a new contest that I have to scroll down 300 different contests to pick the one. They know the dates. Those contests happen the same time of the year every year. You could show me the 5 contests that are relevant this week.
Well, the reason I'm going to act like N1MM at Contest University whenever he looks at me and he says, now you understand that we've been doing it like this for 40,000 years, and this is the way that it is. And you're just like, but why can't we do this like this? And he's like, because we haven't done it like that before. No, and I got to get out of here.
And they do a great job, but why can't you do it one little step further?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like there's always room to make it better, and so I like to always go back and try to progressively improve things.
Right. Yeah. Great.
And there's lots of things I haven't gotten to yet, and that's frustrating sometimes, but you also learn to live with it. But I know that every time I go into the code, it comes out a little bit better.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, I could. My God, now I'm going down to the rabbit hole. I could go. You, me, and Sterling need to have like this powwow where we talk about what ham radio is going to look like in 2026, 2027, 2028, because we have to get out of this mentality of this is just the way that it is, and this is the way that we've done it, and you're just going to have to live with it. No, I don't want to live with it anymore. I want to advance the hobby.
And that's that's part of a reason I'm building PoLo. Not to show, like, all I want to do is that I believe there are better ways of doing things.
Yes.
I'm not saying that they're the best. I'm saying that I have some ideas that show how things can be done nicer. How there's ideas you can bring from contest loggers into a POTA logger. There's ideas you can bring from a POTA logger into your regular logger, or from other types of apps into logging. It's like,
right.
And the best, instead of complaining about it, I'm not saying that you are complaining about. I also complain about it, but on top of complaining about it, let's put it that way. There's nothing like just going and doing it, and
well, that's
putting the idea out and see what works.
See, that's where, like, that's where I get in trouble, where I throw my ideas out there on a guy's website or a guy's YouTube channel, and then I get 400 QRZ comments about how I'm a freaking idiot. But I'm just throwing, and then Sebastian, takes, a half of my idea and says, that's great. And then I'm going to add my stuff to it. And then has like this epiphany. And everyone's just like, I don't know why we haven't been doing this for 30 years. And you're just like, I told you. I don't know what's going on, but I told you.
It's yeah. I mean but that's the when ideas go out and seem obvious, that's when you know it's a good idea.
Right. They're just like, why haven't we been doing this? Well, I don't know, because nobody else wanted to do it. And then like Sebastian goes, well, I'll just do it. So, all right. So let's get into PoLo. Let's bring up the let's see. You're probably waiting on me. Are you waiting on me? No, you're not waiting on me. Hang on. Bring it up. We're gonna go through the whole thing. Hopefully we can. Here it is.
Here.
Hang on. Yeah. Hang on, peeps. Hang on. There we go. Get the chat out of here. Come on.
Let me get it started. Speaking of LLMs, that image is also computer generated by ChatGPT.
Oh, nice.
And Deley. Here we go. Here's PoLo.
I love the interface. I love how slick it looks. I love that it's minimal and it has like everything you want on the main screen. You don't have to scroll. I love it.
I mean, I have a challenge ahead of me because I want to add a lot of things to PoLo.
Yep.
And so it will get more complicated, but I need to make sure that the complexity is well managed and hidden behind the things that are worth it. Like simple things should be easy to do and should always be easy to do.
Yep.
And if you want something very complicated, then you have to go into the settings and hit a bunch of buttons to get it activated. But the idea is to make it very simple. And like, I love that starting when you're in the field and you want to start an operation, all you need to do is like 3 taps or 4, and you are activating a park. Yeah.
Well, the feature of it figures out where you are, and granted, I understand that whenever like the pin is not where you're at, like the Lewis and Clark Trail, right? The Lewis and Clark Trail goes through like 5,000
the trails. You're
states.
screwed. If you're doing a trail, you have to go and search trail to get the right one, because it will never be where you are.
Right. And that's understandable, because the pin, you got to put the pin somewhere, right?
Yeah.
And the pin is probably at the trailhead where it actually starts versus, where I'm in St. Louis. The Lewis and Clark Trail is in the middle of the Mississippi River. Actually, it's in the middle of the Missouri River. So,
but 95% of the time, the park with the pin closest to your current location is the one you want.
Correct. Yes.
So you go.
I love that.
Here, and this is the park you want.
Yes, I love it. And then it also calculates your grid square. So whenever those morons that are asking for grid squares, they're like, "What's your grid square?" You're just like, "Oh, I'm in an EM47." They're like, "Oh, thanks."
You can do 2 parks or 3 parks.
Right. Yeah.
It's up to you to check that they are all 3 valid parks for your location. I'm not solving that for you, but it's there. One little thing also that came out from operating with the app, so I make sure that the park number, that your call sign and the park name are visible on the screen at all times.
Yeah.
Because I know my call sign, but when you're operating a special event, for example,
Yep.
I always write it down in a piece of paper and put it somewhere. But then that Post-it blows away in the wind, and it's like I have room on the screen to put that, even if it's a small font.
Yes,
I want it there.
I love it. I always forget what park I'm in, and that reminds me.
Yeah, and so I need to start. Oh, you can see it's a developer version. You need to give it a frequency, but like you can put a frequency here, and even it'll match.
Yeah.
Whatever you enter. One thing I added at a suggestion from a friend and inspired on what N1MM does and other contest loggers, is that you can enter your frequency here.
I love it.
Go to there. You can change your mode. You can change your band. And one particular a feature I did is like you know when you are on 14.234 and someone starts bleeding on you and you need to move, then you put 233 here and it just changes it.
Yes. It's like fast log entry. You know fast log entry?
Yep.
Yes.
The same here. Like you type the call sign that you want to contact. I mean, say I get like 0 TTL, and first thing it looks through. There's what I call the Ham2K Hams of Note, is a database that I keep and maintain, and I decide who gets in there of no or not, of who's who and who isn't in the world of ham radio.
Yeah.
In this case, this is Stephen, the grid tracker creator. I've added a bunch of other developers there because I think they deserve recognition.
Yeah.
So that will show here, and you can even click here and go to the website for that project.
That's cool.
It tells you how long the distance to their location. It even does things like say they are at a park, and it will now calculate the distance to the park instead of their location.
Yes.
The I don't know if you noticed another thing that I always found, I didn't know why it had to be that way. When you want to enter a POTA reference, I don't need to enter US.
Right. Yeah. I just typed the number in.
You just type the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yes.
Say he said it at a twofer, you comma 4, 5, 6, 7.
Yeah, that's what I did. Yeah, it was just intuitive. That's what I just did, and it took it.
And if he happens to be visiting Canada, I don't know if you noticed this changed. And if I do 1, 2, 3, 4 now, it will get the park in Canada.
Oh wow, I didn't even notice that. That's awesome.
Because I mean, I know just from the call sign, I know where he's operating from.
Yeah.
Unless he's breaking the law, but that's his problem then. And then if you press space,
but you can override that if they are from, if I go to Canada and I activate a park. No. If they're in, they have a VE or VA call sign and they come down to America and activate a park down there, you can still put in US, right?
So if you have someone from Canada that are K1, then it says US.
Oh, so do you have to put in the slash and then the?
So because they need to give you, if they give you this call sign, they're supposed to be operating in Canada.
Well, true. That is, I mean, you are 100% correct.
Or as far as I know, they're operating in Canada. If they give me something that's US, the app will accept it.
Gotcha. But
it doesn't give you the default sign.
Yeah.
The default prefix for that.
Yep. Okay.
One thing that people keep asking, and this is frustrating for me, if you have an external keyboard, the tab key does not switch fields. In some cases it does, but I don't control. That's a problem with mobile OSs, that they control the keyboard in different ways. And I haven't been able to figure out how to actually get that into React Native. But the space will switch fields. So if you press space, it goes to the next field for you.
Yeah, all you wannabe contest operators, you got to be using the space in N1MM. That's where all of the so if you're using the tab to get from 599 and then to your exchange, stop. Don't do it. Use your space bar. Yeah.
And you press enter or press the submit button, and it saves that person.
Yeah.
One thing that I added recently that I'm really, really happy is, say I contact A0Z and you give me your park reference and you give me, no, this is a twofer. And then I submit and you tell me, oh, wait, stand by for a second operator. I can do.
Oh my God. Shut the door.
And you can do that also if I do it here, it'll
shut the door.
This I built. I did this last week and I haven't released it yet because I need to fix a couple of issues. But this is beautiful. This is
game over. Game over. Game over. Unbelievable.
It does spot you on the POTA spots.
Yes, I love that.
Because that'll create a bad spot. It shows you the spots.
Yes. Yeah.
If, say, I tap here, it'll bring this here, and I can work this person.
Right.
But also, when I go back here, it shows it as scratched because I already worked them.
Ah, yes. Yes. And I love how it does the flags, too, on the call signs.
It shows this icon here is also because K3KLB is a POTA volunteer.
Oh, that's cool.
He is in my list of hams of note. So this emoji comes from that, and it'll show in the spots. Oh, here's our friend K7TR getting his 350,431st QSO. There's like, if you see here, you get this little TV emoji because you're a YouTuber, and you get a link to your channel.
Yeah, very cool. That's awesome.
You tap on there, you get the details, even a link to QRZ.com, your photo from QRZ.
Yeah.
Previous QSOs that we've had. Oh, we have a CW QSO from 2020.
Oh, wow.
Is this true? I don't know if this is true. That might have been bad data I loaded. I have to check. Because I don't remember doing CW in 2020.
Yeah, well, you know what? I might have worked you, but it might have been like, KI2D or something.
Yeah.
Who knows?
There's lots of little features here for those who do manual login, that you log in paper.
Yeah.
And then you want to put it in the system. Is, say, I work, the time is moving here. If I tap on it, it stops. Or if I give it a time, let's say I worked him at 0:40 and save.
Yeah.
If I work someone else, the time is frozen. And now it gives me 45 seconds since the last one. And it moves the time based on the time between the previous ones.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I can bump this 5 minutes.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. It's like fast log entry.
Yep. And then enter the next, and it'll bump it 5 minutes ahead, and so on. So if you're logging it if you're writing your logs, if you're entering your logs from paper, you can use that feature.
Right. I love how it shows you your rate too. It's all
once you get
rate.
to 10 QSOs, you need to get to 10 QSOs, and it will get you the rate.
Yeah. It's all about rate, buddies.
Here we go. 37 QSOs hour for the last 10.
Yeah, I love it. It's just like in 1mm. It gives me my rate.
No, it's like I brought some things from the contesting world because I think they're useful. Like they're
I love it.
And then you can put them all in a map.
Right.
You can tap on and here I don't know if you noticed, but they're all 5.9 because that's, if you don't put a report, it's 5.9.
Yeah, that's all right by me.
But if you do follow your reports, then the map will show different colors based on the signal strength.
Oh, that's great. That's awesome. Yes.
Let me see if I have I think that maybe this operation has a better map. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah. It's like a little heat map.
Yeah. It's kind of like going in that direction to help you see where your propagation is at. And
That's awesome. Look how, the closer are all the reds, because they're probably the
Yeah.
strongest, and then you get out
Mhm.
to the yellows, and then the greens are, yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So the green was a 3-3. This was probably a 4-4. Yeah, 4s, 5-7, 5-9, and you also get the entire information here:
Yeah,
call sign, the distance, the report mode, band, and time.
that's great.
So it's easy. I've added this feature that gives you like a full screen view of the map with the details of the operation, which is very screenshotable if you want to share it in
Yes.
social media.
Yes.
It shows you your QSO rate, not the rate, but the totals and the dates and so on. I probably want to add more features to this view for the social media batch that you can share.
Yes, that would be great to, like, show me your quickest your quickest POTA activation, like,
Yeah.
can you do it in 3 minutes?
Yeah.
Can you do 10 QSOs in 3 minutes?
Yeah. The app, I mean, when you get into the settings is where it gets complicated. Starting with these app features, it's basically plugins. They are all built into the app, but they're built in a very modular way, so you can turn off and on. If you don't do worldwide flora and fauna, you don't need to have it in the app. If you don't do SOTA, you don't need to have it in the app. And in fact, these two, the databases are so big that they actually slow down the startup of the app. That's where I started doing this as an option.
Yeah.
You can have this custom activity, and when you have that, say you do, I don't know, lighthouses on the air, you can add custom activity, and custom activity will have a special sig, which is lighthouses on the air. And your reference is, I don't know, main 45.
Yep.
That's it. You can use PoLo
Oh,
for
yeah.
lighthouses on the air.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
I
it's just an
plan to
entry.
add as many different types of operations as we can with full database lookups like we have for SOTA and POTA.
Yep.
But in the meantime, the custom activity will solve a lot of problems.
Yeah. So
I
all
built
you guys
field
doing,
days.
you guys doing POTA potties on the air. Now you got an app to do it now.
Yeah, I added field day support. I added Eclipse QSO party, but I removed it now because it's no longer relevant.
Right.
The call sign nodes is that set of files, and you can add your own file.
Yeah, I was adding my own notes in there while I was
in call sign nodes you can add a new file, and you can do it even with Dropbox or Drive. There's ways of making the link download the raw file and do it from Dropbox, but this requires putting the file somewhere on the web. I'll probably add a way of just copying the file from your phone memory and managing the file on your phone.
Oh, yeah.
And if you want to disable my version, the official version of it, you can turn it off here. It won't show up. But why would you do that? I mean,
Why?
where's the sense of wonder in the world?
You need to put that toggle button deeper in the menus.
Yeah. I mean, and the thing is, like, I don't want to reveal the contents of this file because I find that it gives you little surprises when you're operating.
It's Easter eggs.
You never know who's going to be included.
Right.
And you never know when they're going to work you.
Right. Yeah. I love it. It's like, that's whenever I was logging, there was a couple of people that popped up and I'm like, oh, they're in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's great.
You can upload a very large ADIF file. I tested it here with 80,000 records. And if you're offline, it will use information from those records when you enter a call sign.
Yeah, very cool.
So you don't need to have a connection to get names and states and things like that from people who contact you.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like your own little call history file.
Yeah. All the data files, the app doesn't come with any data files built in. They are all downloaded as you need them.
Yeah.
So if I enable SOTA, it will download the entire database of SOTA parks. and I can come here and refresh it whenever I want. So if
yeah,
and I don't know why I did this, because this one is very slow. It's huge.
that's done.
Yeah, but so it's like if POTA is changing the references, or they added a new park that you want to activate, sadly it takes them about more than 24, between 24 and 48 hours to update the file that I download. So if you add a park today, it won't be in this file until tomorrow or a day later, but a couple of days are not that bad.
But you could do a custom park.
You can all
right?
If you want to, if you come here and you want to activate park 99567, because you know that's a park.
Oh yeah.
It will let you do it. It'll say it's unknown, but it'll let you do it.
Yeah. Go back to your log, and the one thing that I had a question about whenever I was entering. So go down to your data, like your 80 meters and where you enter the park. Go to where you enter the park at. So type in that's their POTA.
Yes.
Not your POTA. That's their POTA.
No, your POTA is set here in the operation.
Yes.
And this is their park to park.
And then you'll know that so don't get confused. We had a new operator that was using this log over the weekend, and they're like, well, it keeps removing my POTA, and I'm like, no, that's not your POTA. That's their POTA.
That's a good point. I mean, because if you start a new operation and you don't give it a POTA, it will assume, let's say I'm on 80. It will give you a button. Hold on. It will give you the option of having. Why don't I get POTA? Ooh. Gentlemen and ladies, this is why I call this a beta version.
We're solving the world problem.
You should have gotten a POTA version, a POTA button there. Here it's P2P because it's park to park.
Park to park. Yeah.
But if you're not at a park, then it says POTA.
Yes.
And it's meant to be as like it's saving the POTA reference from somebody you hunted. It would still say their POTA here, but this might be too subtle.
Well, I kept on saying that's their POTA, and they're like, "Oh yeah," and I'm just like, "You just got to read it. You're not reading."
But I'm okay with both blaming them for their mistake, but also trying to fix it so that they don't make it again.
Yeah.
The next time.
Yeah. All right.
So let me show you one more thing.
I'm scrolling up. If you got a question, put question. Let me. I'm going through to make sure that I get all the questions here.
This is something else that I also added recently, which is on iPads, and actually on if your phone has a very large screen and you don't have a very high font size, it might work there too. But here, if you rotate, you get a split view.
Oh, I love it. Yes.
So it shows you the same information you can see if you tap on the button here, but it's present here and the operation. You can also see the spots as you work it here and pick the people. Same thing, the map. It's all available and on a split view.
That's awesome.
That's having said that, I find that iPad works fine if I have a table I can set up at.
Yeah.
If I'm sitting in the middle of a trail or if I'm sitting in the car, I much prefer to log on the phone. Because it's easier to hold in one hand.
Yeah.
And not have to fumble with the keyboard and releasing the hand and going back to the microphone. So it's like
the problem
is straight on a table.
The problem is my fat fingers like to fat finger stuff, right? And I just got skinny fingers, but it fingers a lot of stuff.
Yeah. And another thing that's coming, I don't know, can you see, is this in focus? Well, it's not if I have
hang on. Hang on.
Let me stop.
Hang on. Let me get
I found out about these things.
Yeah.
This is a little Bluetooth to serial adapter.
Okay.
I haven't gotten it to work yet. I haven't soldered the pins or anything, but I got it this week. Somebody in the Discord for Ham2K pointed me at this. If I get this to work, then you get cat control. And
yes.
that is the dream.
Yes. Yes.
That is
I love it.
that is the dream, and that's one of my. It's gonna work, one way or another. It has to work.
It has to work.
Yeah.
All right. So let me go up. Of course, it doesn't go up as far as I want to. So Paul says, can you enter multiple operators from a park you're working? I think we solved that, right?
Yes.
We showed that, as you can put them in the two operators in the call sign field, and it will log both of them.
You just use a comma to put as many operators as you want. I was operating at a park the other day, and I got a Boy Scout troop that were doing radio, and I got like 7 contacts, one after the other.
Here, let me just activate this park right now.
Yeah. This feature would have been great that day.
Yeah. Let's see. Del Fargus says, does this work outside cell service? The best POTA sites are out in the middle of nowhere.
The POTA database is available offline, so you can search everything offline. If you the name lookups for the call signs, it will use whatever you have already in your login the device.
Yep.
But you can preload your entire ADIV history, and that'll give you a good starting point.
Okay.
But the whole thing, it works in general offline with whatever. It does the best it can when working offline.
Paul asks again, I got another question. Could you download the map like it's 1024 by 768 or some format? So I think we talked about screenshotting.
Yeah,
know if you
right now all you can
map.
do is a screenshot.
Okay.
Yeah, and the maps won't work offline, or might not work completely well offline, because that depends on the phone caching the. I use the phone maps, basically Apple Maps on iOS and Google Maps on Android. So if their widget caches data, then it will be available. If not, it won't.
Yep. Another question here. I think we answered this. Will it run on a laptop? Text screens and sausage fingers don't go well together. Yeah, we answered that.
It runs on. You can download on Macs right now if they have the new Apple Silicon chips, because that lets you run iPad apps directly.
Yep.
I plan on building a Windows version as soon as I can manage to do it, and I'll see if I can build a native Mac version too. Those are options I can do with React Native. There's no easy way to build it for Linux, so that might have to wait until I do like a different version that's web-based or something like that.
Yes. Okay. Can I go up far? Any plans to support SOTA spots?
Yes. There's actually so the app. One thing we haven't mentioned: the app is open source, and there's actually a guy in England who's been an active contributor, James Steve M1SDH, and he's did the SOTA version and the WWFF plugin too. He added spotting for WWFF. The SOTA spotting is more complicated because it requires you to log in to their service.
Gotcha.
So, but yes, that's coming. That'll come eventually. There's no reason why it shouldn't, other than all the other things we want to build for the app.
I think we answered this. Is Sebastian going to update the Who's Who list as it goes on? I think we talked about that. Yes.
I update it regularly. One thing I've said is that any YouTuber that does a review of PoLo gets added to the list. Not that I'm trying to bribe anybody. I'm just recognizing their effort.
I love it. Oh, there was some more questions in here, and my video ninja doesn't go back as far. Let's see. If I haven't gotten to your question, please put it in the chat again. So we talked about, does this work outside of cell phone service? We did that. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Interstellar Starman. Where do I download this? The links, the Ham2K link is below. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the edit here, and I'm going to stick this in the chat. Hang on.
Ham2K.com is the easy answer.
There, I put it in
Raymond
the chat.
POTA. Also on ham2k.com, there's a link to buy me a coffee. A generous show of support for the development of PoLo will also bring you to my attention.
Yes, I as soon as I'm done with this stream, there's going to be some dollars coming your way, Sebastian. I love this app. I think it's great.
And I don't want to spoil it for Raymond POTA. I want them to donate first, but they're already in the Who's Who file. Don't tell them.
Don't tell them.
Let's erase the last 10 seconds from the tape.
Is it in the App Store? I found it in my App Store. I've got an Android.
Right now, it's available in the Android App Store. I think that the easiest way to find it there is searching for Ham2K.
Yep.
It is for Apple. It's available using Test Flight, which is like their beta distribution channel. I'm working on getting it on the full official App Store, but it requires building a lot of filling forms and approvals and stuff that I haven't completed. But it will be available there. But you can download it to Test Flight and it works just fine. Doesn't require anything special other than like one extra step of installing Test Flight first. The links to Test Flight and to the app, the Google Play Store, are on ham2k.com. You can get them there too. But yes, the search for Ham2K on the Google Play Store and you'll get it.
Yeah. Somebody emailed me or commented on my review video and said, I can't find it. I'm like, you're not searching hard enough. And I'm like, well, maybe you've got an old device and it's not maybe compatible with your device. And he didn't like that answer. So
right now I'm not blocking any older devices, but I might end up doing it for a couple of really old Android phones in particular that will end up having more problems than not. And for good or bad, a lot of hams tend to use their hardware for as long as they can.
No,
sometimes that is.
Come on, that's ludicrous. That's crazy talk.
I mean, I've yet to see one using Windows 95, but I've seen Windows 7.
All right. Can you can you turn the screen sideways on the map and still have the info at the top in a smaller format?
I believe so. If it's not exactly the smaller format you were thinking of, then go on Discord and tell me what you want, and I might consider it. I'm not promising I will do it, but I will listen. But yes, if the map works slightly, it shows things in a slightly different way when you're putting it horizontally.
Shane,
the full screen map.
Yeah, got it. Shane, thanks for the 223 super chat. Appreciate it. Actually, you know what we're going to do, boys and girls? This is what we're going to do. I'm announcing it here. Any super chats that you give me in the next 10 minutes, 5 minutes, they are all going to go to Sebastian. Every single one of them. Every single one of them.
And I will match them.
Every single super chat, I will make sure that they go to Sebastian. I will not take a dime from this stream. And I will give my dollars to Sebastian too. So if you're
I appreciate that.
If you want to donate, I mean, actually, donate. Tell you the truth, don't donate to me. Go to buy him a coffee in the Ham2K website and go give him dollars directly. Don't give them to me. I take that back. Don't give them to me. Give them to Sebastian directly. I don't want your freaking cash. Oh, here we go. Here's the side of the radio. Here's for the who's list. Here's the two. All right, here they come. Well, I'm gonna give them. You guys are gonna put them. I'm gonna give
both things too.
Here's for the who's list. Oh my gosh! Now people are buying. Guys, you can't buy love. Come on.
No.
Frank,
you can buy time though. you can put yourself at the front of a list.
Oh, here's Scout. Insert Kyle's mom joke here. $20. Here comes some dough. Jason, I'll send you a coffee too. $10. Thanks, guys.
That's so nice.
Yep. Now you have to understand, Google takes 30% of this.
Yeah. No, I know how it works.
Let's see. Any other yeah, MFJ is closing if you haven't figured it out yet lately. Yeah. Any other questions? Any other super chats? Any other questions for Sebastian? Well, there's Brian with a $5 super chat. Thank you. Paul asks,
coffee takes 10%.
10%, yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Go.
I'm gonna do direct donations inside the app because I think that's the easiest for people, and in that case, Google takes their standard 30% rake. But it's like, yeah, I'll make it as easy as possible for people to help support our efforts. The app is open source and it's free, and it will always be free. I don't plan to charge for anything like that.
That's awesome.
I might do some special features for people who donate, but there will be like cosmetic features, nothing fundamental.
Yeah.
But I do plan on doing things like additional services outside of the app, like an online cloud backup or way of syncing between multiple devices, and that might be behind some kind of membership, or I still haven't figured that out.
Yeah.
I don't plan to stop just with the PoLo app and leaving it at that. I think that there's lots of things that are needed in this space. So I'm going to be building more and more.
I can't wait for, I mean, I'm a Windows person. I cannot wait for if you can marry.
Andrew asks how to donate without Google taking a share. You can always send what's in it, greenbacks to my address is good on QRZ.
Yeah. To take fast log entry and an interface like N1MM and marry them together. That's what would be. I love the simple, N1MM has got the main, the log entry thing, but getting it configured and doing the whole back end, it's a whole process, right? And so I would love to see something like, we were talking before where you log into a website and it has all of your controls right there and you can just log and it's all web-based and it's all in the cloud.
Yeah.
But a Windows app would be just as good. So very good.
Yeah.
All right. It's 10 o'clock there. It's 9 o'clock now. It's time for ice cream here in the central part of the United States. And if I don't get my ice cream, just like an old person, I get cranky. So we're going to wrap this up. I get hangry. Right.
I suggest people do stop by our Discord channel, especially those who want to influence their way into getting into the who's who list. Because as much as I was reading the comments, I will not remember who wanted to be added to the list from the comments. But if you go to the Discord, that's a much more direct connection. I'm also going to be at Dayton next month.
Oh, nice, nice. Where are you going to be hanging out? Are you going to go to Contest U?
I'm going to Contest U. I'm going to the DX dinner the next day. I'm doing all of it.
Yeah. You gonna come hang out at the Troll Pub on Saturday with us? We've got we rented out the Troll Pub, and we're gonna be drinking all night at downtown Dayton.
I want the details on that.
Well, here's the details. I'm gonna give it to the world here. So the Troll Pub, we've got it rented out. It's a bar in downtown Dayton. It's the YouTubers hangout, and myself and Josh and Jason and Mike and Adam and Red and Frank and all of the YouTubers will be there.
Frank too.
Frank will be there. I don't know how drunk he'll be, but he will.
I'm not so sure if it's a good idea.
That's true.
Just
true.
kidding.
Well, we did ban Frank to the outside at one point because he was being a disturbance. So, but it's it is what it is. But yeah, that is Saturday night of Dayton at the Troll Pub in downtown Dayton. So
I'll be there eventually.
Yeah, it's a good time. We'll be there probably. I think last year we left about midnight or so, and then we went back to the Airbnb and tried to stream, and that was a bad idea. Talk about having bad idea jeans on whenever you're a little tipsy and you're trying to stream. It's not the best. So
you write on with a Sharpie on your hand that morning, do not stream.
Do not stream. Well, it's a fun time for us, but it's a disaster for the viewer because everyone is talking, no one shuts up.
Yeah.
And then the camera like goes wonky, and everyone's like camera, or audio, and we're in our own world, right? And then it becomes like this thing, and people are just like, that stream was horrible. It was great and horrible at the same time, and we're like, we know, we were there. So
it was art. It was performance art.
It was like Yoko Ono whenever she does her freaking performance art. What that stream is the Yoko Ono of ham radio YouTubers. That's great. All right, we got to go. We got to shut this thing down. Sebastian, thank you for being on the stream. Thank you for
this was fun, and thank you everybody who contributed and sent money, or sent comments or anything. Like, thank you very much.
The Discord or the chat right now says $49.22. So we will let this gurgitate for a few days and see what comes up. And then, Sebastian, I will actually, you know what I'll do is, so Buy Me a Coffee doesn't take another 10%. What I'll do is I'll look you up on QRZ or send me your PayPal or Venmo, and I'll send it direct to it so you don't have to pay another 10% on it.
Excellent.
Yep. So, links in the Discord, ham2k.com. I'm sorry, links to the Discord and to Sebastian's website where you can get this app. I'm sure that you probably figured that out already. Yeah, that's all that I've got. Thank you again, Sebastian. Appreciate it. And we'll see you at Dayton.
Thank you, Kyle. 73.
73, guys. Now I got to figure out how to shut the stream down. I haven't done this in so long. All right, we got it. Oh, I'm going. See you later.